Chrissy to a retreat now, so she can't tune in.
Oh,
All right, we live.
oh,
Yes, we
wonderful.
are. We are live. Welcome back, people. I know this isn't the normal day, but unfortunately, I had to deal with the government name yesterday, and so I was unable to make it home in time to do our regularly scheduled programming, which is Thursdays at 5:30. Um, but lucky for me, Patrina was able to still adjust and be able to join today. My good buddy Patrina Farkason has returned.
Yes.
She ain't been on in a while, but she's back. Yes, it's been a long time, but you know how it is. You know, we all busy. We all trying to do what we need to do, and so it's difficult at times to get together. And I'm just trying to string these shows together as I get the opportunity. Because boy, look at trying to open this store and deal with all these other things I have to deal with is extremely difficult and taxing. So
Yep.
I tell the viewers all the time, listen, you all know I love you all. When I making time to do this show for you all each and every week, regardless of my crazy schedule that I have running around all day, every day. I love you all, so I make an effort to do the show, even if I have to switch like I had to do today. But I want to, before we get into today's actual topic, first of all, let me ask those that are here to please share the video. Go ahead and hit that share button. It don't cost you nothing and it don't take that long. So go ahead and hit the share button, share it with your friends, tag people in it. Because we're going to be discussing something that a lot of people don't think exists in this country, believe it or not, Trina. But a lot of people don't believe that racism exists in the Bahamas simply because we are majority black and they believe that only black people could be the victims of racism. You all know me and Chrissy always wrong, but not all the time. But we
Yeah.
ain't get into that today. We can discuss an unfortunate experience that you had to go through last week or week before last, I think it was.
Yeah,
Um,
this was last week actually.
mhm.
And it was indirectly because it was with my son Ryan.
Right. Right. So we'll get into that. I'll let you tell that story in a bit. But first, I put something on Facebook. That was when I was handed my bill from customs because I had to bring in a commercial oven for the store that I'm trying to get open. You know, small business trying to do my thing and get to another level and be in a position to hire people and all of that good stuff. They hit me with my bill to clear my oven, and I had to put it on Facebook because I was super angry. Like I was telling Trina before we went live, listen, I wanted to go live right then and do a super rant on the government, but I just made a simple post and just say, I am convinced that Bahamian politicians do not understand the role of government. And this is because I am judging it based on their actions. You know, these Bahamian politicians, they thin skin and they is everything is affect them when you say something about them. They think it's a personal attack on them. I say all the time, it's nothing personal, it's professional. I know what a politician's role is. I know what you're supposed to do as a policy maker. I know what you're supposed to do as an MP, a cabinet minister. And if I don't feel like you're doing a good job, I'm going to say it. It's nothing against you. I'm sure you might be a good person, wonderful person to hang out with. That has nothing to do with you and your job performance. And from what I see, they do not understand the role of a government. Now, I can tell you what I believe the role of a government is. And I think a government is supposed to protect the citizens, first of all. It's supposed to create environments for its citizens to thrive and be able to do for themselves, make it easier. Now, we could get into whether or not they're supposed to be responsible for healthcare and these kind of things. I believe they're supposed to be responsible for healthcare because Trina, I can tell you the truth. The bills I've been getting hit with medical bills lately, I,
Mm-hmm.
I I do all right when it comes to finances. And listen, I have to clutch my chest hairs when I receive these bills from these doctors. I don't
Yep.
believe that healthcare is supposed to be something that is profit driven. It should not be private because people, I don't want whether you save me or not be determined by how much money you can make or what kind of car you can buy. And
Well,
so,
I think too there has to be an option, right? Like they in as part of like you said, your role of the government is providing
mhm,
uh, a safe and working nation. That
mhm,
should be part of it, so that if we choose to go with government health care, and
mhm,
this works in many countries, then we can. And this government healthcare system is open to everyone, but it needs to be where it can handle everyone, and it's
right,
of a quality that is high enough to meet the basic or even the current needs of people in the world. I mean,
Hmm.
just generally, your citizens' health needs to be your priority. And then
I
if
agree.
someone wants to, go to a private surgeon or a doctor, it has to be because they have the means to do it. It shouldn't be because you've sat already at the government hospital and waited and gotten no help, and then now you are left with the option of going to seek help other somewhere else, and then
Mhm.
you're hit with a huge bill because you don't have choices.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's we have a lot of work to do in terms of getting it to the point to where it is acceptable, where you don't have to wait for 2 days to be seen, and where you don't have mold all over the ceiling and in the air conditioning and dusty
Exactly.
and air conditioning work. And so we have a lot of work to do in that regard, which is why I understand why private, healthcare facilities exist. But ultimately, I think things like healthcare and education should not be profit driven. You know what I mean? So these things, I
No,
think
definitely.
these things I think government should be responsible for. Like I said, basically, what I feel government is responsible for is protecting its citizens, putting in place laws and policies that make it possible for there to be justice, so it to be fair and just for all citizens, so people aren't discriminated against. Um, and also to, like I said, provide economic opportunities for its citizens, not getting in the way, not sticking their hand deep in their pocket. I feel like this government believe like they like a big bully who on the beach just walking around looking to see who got the most, who got money, who have money over here. Come, give me this money. And then you could see it when it was talking about the sliding scale with the number houses, just the attitude. Like
Mhm.
what? Look how much money y'all making come. You all need to pay your fair share. Like they feel like if you do well as a business, we need to take more money from you. And that is not the role of government. And speaking from a personal experience, here I am, a small business just trying to open my first store. And I brought in this oven, and my understanding was that a propane oven is 5%, and electric oven is at a higher rate. I think it's at 35% or something like that. So I bought a commercial propane oven. And listen, I see why people corrupt in this country, Trina. I see why people go through the back door. Honest me, honest me won't go tell the customs officer because he really didn't care. He was like, what this is? I could tell anything. But he was like, what it is? Me won't be honest. I say it is a commercial oven. Lo and behold, I didn't know commercial oven is 45%. So had I said propane oven, he would have written propane oven on the paper, and then when I went to the broker, he would have had to go on with what the customs officer put. So I would have said 40%. And let me tell you how much that 40% ended up being. My bill to clear a used oven that I bought from the US for about $1,700. My customs bill alone was just under $1,200. I had to give to the government $1,200 flipping dollars just to clear my oven for me to bake cookies in my little shop. And so these kinds of things hinder people like me and other people that want to open small businesses from being able to operate, especially if you don't have the money to do it. You don't have the funds, you don't have that upfront
Correct.
capital, and
Correct.
banks ain't trying to lend out no money to small
No,
businesses in the first place.
especially not the small businesses.
Right. So these are things that impede small and medium-sized businesses from thriving, and these businesses are the lifeblood of countries' economies. These are what keep economies flourishing. And it seems as though the Bahamas government is hell bent on sticking their hands in the pocket of all businesses, no matter what. They don't care if they cost them to shut down. They don't give it down. Just give me meat. And that is their attitude, and that is the wrong attitude, because small, medium-sized businesses create jobs, and that helps. You understand? This is why unemployment is so high. It's because the government is taking so much from so many different places. So, like I said, I don't think they know what the government is supposed to do. That's problematic. If I had done this about 2 days ago, it would have been a much more angry and a much longer rant. But I just wanted to let people then know, and do your research first, because I didn't do my research. I thought it was just propane and electric, and lo and behold, it's a different price for commercial. And they feel because you have a business and it's commercial, you're gonna make money, so you could afford to pay more. That's the assumption that they have. And I think that
it's
is
so
wrong.
backward because especially for businesses like we say in the middle tier, there should be exemptions and special considerations because, like you said, if you hadn't had already capital in order to
Mhm.
start this business, which has taken you now months, right? While you are still baking
Well, yes, yes, to actually build the capital.
exactly to build a capital. And so imagine how if you just started, let's say we have a graduate of high school who has a fantastic idea, right?
Hmm.
But he doesn't have capital and his
Hmm.
business, if let's say you need $10,000, right? To
Hmm.
just start with first and last month for a nice warehouse, you're going to need to get your equipment. You're going to get to need your materials, let's say just for manufacturing. And where is he going to get that? Like you said, banks are not helping. I think there's
Hmm.
private financing, but we don't even want to know what the interest is on that. And
Exactly.
then there isn't this idea that, oh, this guy, this young man or young woman is starting a business. What can we give? What are the concessions we can give them in order to help them get it
Hmm.
started? Like, do we give them a break on their power? Do we give them a break on their utilities for the year?
Hmm.
Do we do all of that? Instead, we penalize people
Yep.
on the break for it. Like you said, if you buy a truck, it's so much more expensive than a car. So
Yeah.
he needs a truck to haul his stuff around,
Hmm.
but you don't get that.
Hmm.
You order industrial equipment, you're going to pay more than if
Exactly.
you used if it was for your home. And
Hmm.
so these are the things that really don't help because and then the systems, I find like the systems here can just drive you to jump off a bridge because
Yeah.
you're going to be waiting for your business license. So if you're really honestly going to get registered, you're going to be waiting for your business license. You're going to be waiting for
I
your
still wait. No.
national insurance. You're going to be waiting for your VAT. And all of that starts to accumulate. Because imagine paying first and last month, and then you have to pay the next month, and the next month, and the next month. So in 3 or 4 months, you've paid 5 months of rent. You
Hmm.
have had to put power in there, right, in
Hmm.
order to get some of your machines in. It's taken so long. Shipping is not even smooth here,
No.
and then you're hit with all your import taxes. So by the time you thought you needed 10,000, it's going to be like 25. Who
Yep.
has that? And we have
Exactly.
so many brains now just gone to work for someone else because there is no capital to be found. Great ideas just sitting in someone's head, not being, you know, born because of that.
Yep. And
I think
speaking
it's
of
really
speaking of ideas sitting in someone's head, your son won again a
yes.
competition. Tell us all about that because they seem to come up with great ideas year after year to continue winning these competitions. Tell us a little bit about that.
So Hackett is actually a really, really awesome STEM camp, right? It's in their fifth year now, and it's run by STEM Board, which was founded by a Bahamian, Miss Aisha Bow. And
Okay.
she's based in Washington and in California, I think. She has her own company.
Hmm.
And every year they come here, and with the help of sponsors and St. Andrews, they have a camp that's entirely free for 4 days. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then on
Hmm.
the Saturday they have to pitch to a panel of sponsors an idea that's not only realistic, but also marketable. Like they
Hmm.
actually have to show a mini business plan. So this is done in 4 days from the beginning to the end with people that they often haven't met before.
Hmm.
So last year, Ryan had a really good experience there. He was on a team and they created a gadget for the car that would, I drive a pretty old car, and there are cars now that are made with, all these things like power windows, TV, like little GPS monitors, sensors to be able to open your car from the outside. Like when you're approaching it, you can actually light it up so that it's safe in a
Okay.
in a dark place. All these bells and whistles that are just awesome, right? But if you have a car that's like 12 years old like mine, you don't have them. So they built
Man,
a
that's what you
gadget.
call old, Katrina. You can't ain't
I'm
old, man.
talking about my experience, Greg. It's kind of old for me. It's breaking down a little. So, but their car, their gadget, and they actually built it out of these little components called Arduinos, which are just a motherboard and just 1,000 different kinds of sensors. So these kits enable kids and everybody to invent like we've never been able to invent before, right? Just right there, like you buy it and you can start building your own things. So this gadget would also be able to sense the heat in the car and turn your AC on, that kind of thing. And they had to build a prototype, and they had to pitch it to the the panel of judges, and they had to answer questions. So they not only had to come up with an idea, they had to build a presentation, an app, and then they had to build the actual prototype.
Wow.
So last year they won based on that. And this year they also built something for the car. And it was because we, as a nation, and I think especially on New Providence, we have had to deal with potholes and rain and flooding so much.
Boy, tell me about it. I got one grave. I got one grave right in front of my store right now.
Right. And so, like we were talking about what you said, this huge pothole is in front of your store. And like basically you could put a plant in it and it will probably grow, because all you have to do is put the plant in and fill it with earth, right? And then I've seen potholes where, people have put a cone in it and only half of the cone is showing out the road. Like, I mean, I drive a car that's substantial, and I don't even want to think of my wheel falling in that, let alone these smaller cars. Right?
Don March and driving around.
No,
and we got many March and Cube.
Yeah. So their invention this year was also a sensor with that was made up of tiny cameras. And this year, Ryan actually got to print a 3D a 3D model of it with a printer that they have at his school. So he collaborated with his STEM teacher who did it. So they designed it on a computer, on a website, sent it to Mr. Krishad, and Mr. Krishad printed it out in time for them to do their presentation. So there was a gadget and a prototype. So it looks kind of like a tiny, those old-fashioned mics, like with a circle and then a little stand. So these would be set along the under your hood of the car, and it would be installed on any car. And what it does is it scans. It's camera based. It scans the road ahead and it measure.
You trying to tell me they invent a pothole detector?
A pothole detector.
Man, stop the madness! Dying for sale, where I could get one of them right now.
I tell them they need to work on both their projects. They were actually working on the last project, but it's like these kids, they go to school all year and they are both in Ryan had his IGCSE last year, and his partners, they were also in exam years, A levels. So I told them, I said, no, we have to really get going on it, because these young men, they've come up with such practical ideas, right? This year they had a team, a young lady on the team. Her name is Star. That's an awesome name. And so, and she's our family also. And one of the things, so it's a pothole detector. Basically, it's called Road Sense. And of course, it's like a play on words, right? So it would scan ahead of you. It would detect the potholes, send a message and a picture and a location back to your device that's in the car with you. And it would also, so you could avoid it, it also measures the dimensions and will send an email to Ministry of Works.
Man, stop the madness.
Yes.
You kidding me?
Yes. And I thought that was amazing. Like when I was this year, though, the group was huge and some of the ideas were incredible. I saw agricultural ideas, fisheries ideas for you know, literally food sense. Like um, how do you, you know, kind of tabulate what you should eat based on your body type, that kind of thing. The kids this year were awesome, and so
Mm-hmm.
they compared it to Tesla actually has these sensors, right, that will show
Right.
you like what's safe and not safe in the road, but they don't basically, it's not you know, kind of applicable in any other car but their car. And then they
Right.
don't send it to your municipal department to let them know, right? And
Right. Right.
because the data is accumulated and downloaded via the cloud, they can actually schedule with the Ministry of Works to remind
Oh
until
my
it's done.
goodness, that is incredible.
Yeah,
She see the potential we have, and we just cast the youth to
exactly.
the side and dismiss them because they're young
Exactly.
and they coming up with ideas like this. I would have thought of a damn pothole detector in the car. You know what I mean?
Yes. And it's adaptable. And so, because if they can build it with these Arduinos, right? And the cameras, and you know more than anything, that they, I mean, you have your dash cam. These cameras are becoming so affordable now. So
Yes, very.
they can buy the components, and you know, I mean, we can. These things are not expensive to make, and so what our children are, they are really paying attention. We think
Hmm.
that sometimes their heads are in the clouds or they are gaming, but I tell you that I feel that gaming and experimentation and these kinds of thoughts that they have just among themselves, they're really paying attention.
Yeah.
They realize the world that they live in and the conditions that we have to deal with, you know, carrying them to and from school, um, having to, I think, navigate these systems in order to give them the life that they need. They
Hmm.
are really paying attention
Hmm.
because,
Clearly.
I mean, I'm just blown away. I love young people. I
Yes,
mean,
me as well.
you're young to me too, and like that, your
Thank
generation
you.
and younger, your age and younger, like I feel like I'm not wasting my time there because
Awesome.
like I learned so much, and the way you all think is very out of the box.
Yes, and we have to in this day and age, especially. Now that was the positive. Let's get to the negative experience you had at the camp, which is why we had to discuss this topic. Tell us everything that took place. Um,
So the first day Ryan went on Tuesday, I was so busy at work I didn't really catch up with him until about 2 o'clock, and the camp is from 9 till 5, right? So
mhm.
I messaged him and I said, "So Ryan, how is it going?" And he said to me, "I want to leave right now." And I mean,
Wow.
that was immediately, you know, a wake up call for me. So I said, "Okay, what's happening, right?" And he says, um, I'm just really uncomfortable. And I think it was like right there in the group, because usually what they do, they work in the computer labs at St. Andrews. So there's maybe 3 or 4 groups to a lab, right?
Hmm.
And he messages to me that the next message he sends is, "I am being bullied." So I said, "Oh, dang!" Like, you know. And Ryan is, you know, Ryan, Greg.
Hmm.
He is not one to exaggerate, and
Right.
he's very. He would have tried to solve the problem before he said anything to me, right?
Hmm.
So I said, "Okay, let me call that Wayne, because I am all the way out west." So I called Wayne, and when I told him what's happening, he went at once. And I felt really good about that. That, you know, when it comes to our children, I mean, I know this kind of subconsciously, but that day,
Hmm.
we didn't even ask anything. He says, "I'm going to get him now." And when
Right.
he went to get him, he parked and he went into so they, at the end of each day, they usually gather in the auditorium and they have like a debrief of what they've learned that day, so that the organizers and the groups, they can, you know, kind of see where everyone is, because although it's a competition, it's still a collaboration of ideas, right?
Right. Right.
So when he said that, when he went into the hall, Ryan was standing on the stage, and he could see these 2 guys standing on the ground. So they are literally looking upwards at Ryan, and he
Mhm.
said their body language, and Ryan was holding his own because he was actually talking to someone else or presenting. Their body language told him everything, and so he got Ryan's attention. And what Ryan did is he came down, spoke to the group counselor, and just told them that he had to go because
Mhm.
presentations were still going along. And Ryan is a very he's Ryan is a introvert. So when
Right.
he engages with other people, he actually has to go back by himself again to recharge, right?
Mhm.
He likes being with other people, but not for too long. And it's a
Mhm.
certain kind of person that he has to be with, right? He chooses to be
Mhm.
with. So when so they got in the car, and Wayne didn't he just gave him his space. Then halfway home, or halfway down, actually, Yamakro Road, he told him the whole story. And Wayne actually stopped the car and tried to turn around. So Ryan said, "No, please don't turn around. Okay, I
Wow.
don't want to go back there." But basically, what they had done is they had started the day by mocking him. Like, "Oh, why is your hair like that? How do you talk? Why do you talk like that? Why do you sit like that?" And then just mimicking his movements.
Mhm.
And there was five. There was four of them in the group, and it was this a young man and another two of them. The other young man was also. So I have to talk about color here, Greg, because
Go
it's
ahead.
into the
Go ahead, man.
situation. So Ryan is like light brown, right?
Right.
And the other three children are black.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is that they look like they are fully black Bahamian.
Right.
This is what he explained to me. And Ryan is obviously mixed.
Yes, clearly.
So he says like all that teasing and stuff, he could deal with it. But then
Mhm.
like after lunch, it started to become very pointed and very color and very racist. And so
Did
some
he
of the
did he tell you
questions,
specifically what they were saying to him?
yes,
What are
they
some of
asked,
those things?
"What are you?" So he says, "I'm Bahamian." And they says, "Not with that hair." And he said, and they
Wow.
were like, "What color are you?" And he's like, they're like, "What do you mean? I'm black." And
Uh-huh.
then they says, "No, you're not. You're not black. Look at we're black. You're not black." And then just these things like that, like you don't belong, and so you go to private school. Just these things, these
Mhm.
stereotypes that just started going on and on. So Ryan was really trying to hold it together.
Mhm.
And this is also when he told me that this same child bullied a friend of his last year at the camp. But this friend didn't want to say anything. So they never talked about it. And this poor boy kind of like um, weathered the whole camp last year. And
Mhm.
his team actually won third place. And just based on his ideas, because the boy who was in there, the same boy who bullied Ryan this year,
Mhm.
just didn't want to do work. And Ryan says that is the whole thing. They don't want to do any of the work. They don't want to think of an idea. They just sit there, they twiddle their thumbs, they play on their devices, and they tease you. And
Wow.
in my mind, I'm thinking there's money to be made at this camp, right? So
Yes.
you were in a and this second time they already know he's a past winner. And if you had that boy on your team, if you had Ryan on your team, wouldn't you be like kind of in my mind it would be sensible to say, wow, we have a chance at this, and
So
let's
the
buckle
guys that
down
were
and do the
bullying,
work.
they were on his team.
The bully this year, no, he was on another winning team last year where he teased this young man mercilessly, won, and then acted like, wow, he won too.
This mentality. Listen, anyhow, let me
So
let you finish.
I am like, so then I'm totally flabbergasted when Ryan comes home and tells me all these things. But
Right.
he is like in the moment and traumatized, right?
Mhm.
So he is like, I don't want to go back, and I really don't want to do it. And his whole thing was like, why would they say that to me? Like I've never done anything to them, and
He was confused.
but I had to tell him that just his existence, just our existence, and we all go through this. It's not only because I'm a minority here or he's a mixed person. It's not that,
Mhm.
right? It is because some people will look at you and just hate you because of who you are. Like you, because you're the cookie caterer, because you
Mm.
have your own business. But just for that. And so we try to explain to him that at the end of the day, we were going to talk to the organizers about it, but
Mm-hmm.
we we I said we will talk to them and then you should go back. So he didn't want to go back the next day and I didn't force him. But
Wow.
what it was that they teased him also about just different things, right? Like why do you talk like that? You're not
Right.
talking Indian. Your
Right.
voice is so high, you sound like a serial killer.
What?
Yeah. I mean, and what we tried to explain to him was that when people are hurt, they also will find any opportunity to hurt you.
Right.
And the best
And
way to hurt someone is to like rock their confidence, right? Tell you about yourself and really
yes.
get in your head.
And that's what I was. What they clearly displaying what a lot of people have, especially in this country, is this low self esteem, right? And they were raised in an environment to where they feel as though people that look like Ryan per se are somehow privileged or have it better, and so they want to knock them down a few notches. And so this is their way of trying to knock him down to what they consider to be their level. But this is why they lash out and tease. They are trying to
Right.
break him and make him feel
Yes.
less than, so he could
Right.
so he could be in the same boat with them. You know what I mean? Misery loves company.
Exactly.
And you see a lot
Exactly.
of people doing that in this society. I mean, grown adults, people do it all the time.
Yes.
You see
I
them
mean,
attacking people.
I just made a post about like how toxic our workplaces are. And this
Mm-hmm.
is how it is. These bullies. And so I made a post about it and someone said, "Oh, you need to talk to his parents, right?" And I'm like, I am not. I mean, at the end of the day, I have children and I have a husband. I know who I'm supposed to police, right?
Right.
So in this situation, because it was in a camp, Wayne called and spoke to Miss Bow,
Okay.
and I have to really give her credit and the whole STEM board team that she called them out right away. They admitted to it. They did say, however, that when they talked to him about being a serial killer, he was holding a scissors. Like, this is a lab with all kinds of tools. When you look at the STEM lab, it's like all these Arduinos are around. They have different screwdrivers and tools and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
their thing was that Ryan was holding a scissors when they said he was a serial killer, and he said he made some smart aleck comment to him, almost like, "You mean I'm a killer?" Like that, right? And because he was holding scissors, they claimed that that was a threat to them. So anyway, they didn't believe, they didn't take that they didn't take that seriously,
Mm-hmm.
and they also expelled them.
Wow.
And they
Now,
came back to Wayne within an hour, and they said, "You know what was really?" She was so apologetic, and she said every day at the camp, they start out with a lecture about behavior and
mm,
working together and being, and the way we should behave to each other, because to them that's very important. Like, they know that they're not just stewarding young engineers, young would-be engineers or STEM
mm-hmm.
workers. They are stewarding young people who
Yes.
need the
Yes.
full experience.
Yes.
So when we found that out, we tried to persuade Ryan that he should go back. And you know, one of the things that were really powerful, I think, is Bernard, my eldest son, who's not here. He in the chat group, he told Ryan this. He said, "Ryan, you should go back, because number
Mm-hmm.
one, if you don't go back, they actually win.
One. Yeah.
And then number two, if you don't go back, you will always second guess yourself about why you didn't go back." And
Mm-hmm.
Bernard says this because he's been through this. He's even
Right.
lighter skinned than the boys, and his hair is straighter. And he's
Yeah.
been told, even in our subdivision where we live, that he's not black. He's not black enough to come and play with the boys.
Wow. And I see Tom Miller saying, yeah, his son, who is considered white, gets crap every day. This place is just unbelievable. And we're supposed to be a tolerant, quote unquote, Christian nation. So it's
Yeah,
not just, it's a lot of people
yeah,
go through it in this town.
I'm sorry for that. It's like, it's almost like, and then on the other side, people have called Bernard white boy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I mean, he's felt it a lot. Not not being Bahamian enough. Like to a lot of
Right.
people, he's not Bahamian enough.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he really is very proud to be Bahamian. And so, you know, I know that I have these children who seem to be kind of like floating, not here nor there, but it
Mm-hmm.
is because as a nation and as society, we have such clear ideas and such kind of stuck ideas about what is a Bahamian and what is not
Yes.
a Bahamian and how can you
Yes.
look Bahamian and how can you not look.
Yes.
And like
Yeah.
I've had to kind of tone down, you know, myself in the last few years. But last weekend, right after Ryan won Hackett, I was at Patrick's golf grill out,
Mm-hmm.
and a man there asked who made the macaroni, and Patrick and I made the macaroni. Thanks to
Oh, okay.
Lakita's awesome recipe. We made like 2 giant pans of macaroni on Friday night until midnight, okay?
Wow.
And so this man came up to me and said, "Who made the macaroni?" And I
Right.
didn't answer because it was like the way he said it, I knew where it was going. And one of the coaches said, "Miss Farquharson made the macaroni." And he looked at me and he looked at the coach and he said, "Who?" And I said, "I made the macaroni." And
Uh-huh.
he actually left. He went back to the grill and he
Uh-huh.
came back 10 minutes later and he says, "You made the macaroni?"
Can't believe
And
it.
I was tired, so I was thinking, okay, Trina, just
You're
don't
supposed to be one chocolate woman from Andros who could make this macaroni this good. What you know about macaroni?
And this is exactly his attitude was that, well, you're not Bahamian, right? I said, why would you think that?
See?
I mean, like, but you know what I'm talking. I said, no, I really. So
Yeah.
that got me hot. Like after I was telling myself, yeah, just don't rise to the bait. It's like 6:30. Let's just go home. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, why is it that making macaroni has to be the purview, first of all, of a Bahamian? Because
Mm-hmm.
I've had macaroni elsewhere. That's good, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I've had macaroni here that was not made by a Bahamian. That is also good.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing is, I am a Bahamian, right? So I said,
Right.
so first of all, are you saying that because I made good macaroni, I have to be a Bahamian, or is that it's unbelievable that I made macaroni that, and I am a Bahamian, but I'm not black? I'm like, which one?
Thus days we brainwashed with these ridiculous stereotypes. And
Yeah,
Tom said earlier, black Bahamians are brainwashed and believing only white people are different and bad. And also, Christian is saying, yeah, I'd say the Bahamas has a way bigger issue with colorism and xenophobia than racism right now, but racism is sprinkled in here and there. I agree, we do have an issue with colorism and xenophobia, but when you really think about it, what's the real difference between colorism and racism? Because it's all judging people based on the color of their skin, right? And thinking that some people are better because of a certain color. So to me, colorism and racism are kind of in the same basket, although I know colorism is usually tied to black people in different shades of black. But at the end of the day, if you are thinking that someone is inferior or superior simply because of the color of their skin, then does that isn't that colorism as well? You know what I mean? It's the same thing,
yeah.
and so it's the
But these
same
are
issue.
all like absolutely mental constructs to divide us, right?
Yes, yeah, and
Like
it works so well.
if you are black, you have already felt such pressure and such deprivation because of the color of your skin. Why
Mhm.
would you turn around and do it to someone else?
Because that's what happens. You don't realize that that's see, when you study human behavior and human nature, you recognize patterns, and oftentimes the people that are abused turn right around and then abuse. They're the first one to abuse because they've had it done to them, so they can't wait to do it to somebody else. They want somebody else to know what it feels like. They want to put somebody else through that pain so that they can experience what they experience. So they quick to put other people through what they've been through. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And Denisha says, sadly, we do not celebrate diversity in the way we should, which I find strange because diversity can only make us stronger. But
Right?
could that be a contributing factor to why we are at a standstill?
Right.
I agree. I agree. We're supposed to celebrate diversity, and it's like a
Yeah.
good example is I've heard people use the example of, let's say, conch salad, right? Conch salad has very many different uh,
Yes,
it got different colors, you got
ingredient.
different vegetables. Now you got fruits you throw in there. And all of those things come together beautifully to make one wonderful dish. You don't want a
Mm-hmm.
conch salad with just conch. You don't want an onion. Who can eat onion by itself? Who can eat sweet pepper by itself? Who can eat gold pepper by itself? Nobody. So all of these things mesh together to make one beautiful bowl. Now I do agree you do have some bad mixes. You can have some bad mixes when it comes to food. So, somebody may throw that as, it's not a good analogy. But if you look at it from that perspective, we all are different and we need to learn to appreciate our differences and respect our differences, first of all, and appreciate, not to bash one another because it's different. And
Right.
oftentimes human beings, they fear what they don't understand. Because they don't understand something, they attack it immediately. And I think those boys, and this is what I wanted to say earlier, I understand them being expelled, right? I get it. I don't know if I completely agree. Now I can't say because I wasn't there. I don't know what kind of behavior they display on a regular basis. I don't know what kind of potential they may have. But oftentimes, what we tend to do is shut people down as opposed to inform and educate them. And I don't think shutting people down and casting them to the side is helping the problem, because those boys still have that same mentality. And who knows what that's going to develop into later on in life, what they are going to do with that same mentality later in life, what they're going to do somebody else later in life. So they were thrown out of this camp, but who is to say what they may get into next year or 2 years down the line, and what they're capable of doing. So I know it's not the people that organize this event place to do this, but I would like to see an intervention, a conversation with them to find out why is it they feel this way. You know what I mean? What kind of
Yeah.
background they come from? What have they been taught their whole life that have them feeling as though, well, because Ryan's skin lighter or his hair straighter, that he is somehow different from them, and not just different, but different in a bad way. You know what I mean? Like unacceptable. Why are they so bigoted towards him because of his appearance? So I think we need more dialogue and not attacking. You know what I mean? You don't attack kids like that, especially,
Yeah.
and it may not
No,
be the
I
fault.
don't. Yeah, I don't. I think that it's definitely learned behavior, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have to say that I think we can talk kind of sanely about these things, and then like when it happens to your child, you just go not sane, right? Like you just want to protect your child.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I had to take a few days, like you did, to think about it, and someone actually mentioned that I should talk to their parents, or talk to the child, like actually engage with the child to find out. I
Right.
don't think
Right.
I'm there yet, but I agree with you that if we don't, uh, I think, bring awareness to the behavior, or actually help them realize that it's not the right behavior, um,
Mm-hmm.
and then to give them tools in which to improve their behavior, then it's
Mm-hmm.
something that's going to keep going on. I
Some people just haven't been exposed. Like some people, they grow up in certain environments, and that is all they know. What I notice about people is not what it is. It's what they believe. A lot of people's perception is their reality. Whether it's real or not, is their reality. And so
and
they've
it's very
just,
strong.
yeah, very, very strong. And a lot of them have not been provided with alternative perspectives. You know what I mean? And
Right.
this is why conversations can be so powerful. And it's like not in a scolding type manner, just on a ground level conversation to where, listen, let's talk. Like why, like genuine curiosity. Why you feel like that? You know what I mean? What made you say that? Like why? You know what I mean? Like I do it with Kaylee all the time. I ask why all the time. I want to know why you do
Yeah.
or
What was your
say certain
motivation?
things. Exactly. What's your motivation? What caused you to do or say this thing? You know what I mean? I genuinely want to know. I'm curious. And I think when you approach people like that, they are more open. They're more willing to tell you why.
Hmm.
Because they don't have people do that.
I think that when they questioned the boys, she did ask question. I mean, of course, she didn't share that with me because that is between them and the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I hope that they will pursue it. I know that at the prize giving, each of them, his group counselor, and then the two co-founders of STEM board, they talked to me and they said that they were just so shocked that this happened because the first day they started with an extra long session about behavior, about working together, about how we talk to each other, and then this happened the first day. And
Wow.
I think that it's an opportunistic mentality also
Yeah.
of number one, it is a free camp, so a lot of people, but they make it free, just like how we just had a camp for a robotics camp for girls, and we made it only $10. Is to make sure that price isn't the prohibitive thing
Factor. Yeah.
for these young people to engage in an awesome opportunity, right?
Right. Right. Which is admirable. I didn't know it was free.
Yeah, it's totally free. And
Mhm.
so, but what it also what also then happens is that parents who are looking for a place to put their children, not necessarily children who are interested in STEM or even robotics, uh, find that it's a great way to keep your child occupied for the day, and they put them there. So a lot of
Mhm.
times the children are also not in control of where they are. They might not
Mhm.
even want to be where they are.
That is true
And
too.
that is
Hmm.
also, I find, something that could have happened. And then the other thing is that sometimes the universe gives you a lesson and then gives you the other side of the lesson, like the next week. So this week we had a robotics camp, and of course it's a preteen girls, and there were children there who were like that too. They didn't want to be there, and
Hmm.
they displayed behaviors that were really interesting, like very aggressive behaviors and very
You give us an example.
yes. So there was a child there who came with her sister, and the way she was small but stout, and she
Hmm.
was among the youngest of the children there, but she didn't bring any devices that day. So
Hmm.
during the time after lunch when we were waiting for our speakers, she has this habit of moving into a person's personal space, like
Hmm.
anybody, and she'll ask you for something but her hand is already on it. So like she's asking you for a phone, she will
Right.
say, I can have it, and her hand is on your phone. And her body language says, I can have it. Basically, give it to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I watched this happen, and I'm kind of sensitive about it because I mean I was tiny when I was younger,
You're still
and
tiny,
I
Trina. Go ahead.
was yes, I'm still tiny, but I have a big mentality.
Yeah.
So
Right, right.
you can't bully me for nothing.
No, no, we know you ain't playing.
Yes, and so I think that was part of it, was that I just was like shocked that these things would happen, and so with this girl, I had to be really stern with her.
Hmm.
And at the end of the first day that she was there, she looked at me. She said, "I'm not coming back." And I looked at her and I just smiled. I didn't respond,
How old
but
was she?
she was 10, and
10.
she
She going
said
through
she
something.
was, yeah, she knows exactly how to get in everybody's head. Like, I don't care if you're 15 or 30, this child could get in your head. And so I think that on the other side, and I have met narcissistic manipulators in my life.
Hmm.
Some
Hmm.
people are born like that. They are born with
Yeah.
this inherent ability to find your weakness, and then they just go right for it. Pew!
Uh-huh.
Just like,
Yeah.
and so they know how to immediately hook you and manipulate you. And I mean, I'm that is not everybody, right? Not all bullies like that. It's just a subset of bullies who are like that, like natural born bullies. Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, I let me put it this way. I think it is a genetic trait, like that ability, but it can be used for good and bad.
Yes.
You
Yes.
understand?
Yes.
And depending on the environment, I think is a major factor and what determines
Yes,
what
for
a
us,
person use those gifts for.
exactly. And for us to recognize these traits in our children and be able to channel them into the
Yes.
best possible way, right? So
Yeah.
somebody who is like born like that is an excellent negotiator, right?
Mm,
This person can actually get to the root of all problems because they can
yeah.
see immediately like what's not working. And so
Mhm.
we have to learn to do that. But I think the other side of raising children that are unique and special is that we are all born unique and special. And then we
Mhm.
come up into this society that has a round hole like this and
Uh-huh.
will try to stuff all its people into
Yep.
this one shape. And
Mhm.
like what are we doing?
Yeah.
You
It's just tradition. We just follow. We
know,
on autopilot. A lot of people run on autopilot. Whatever's already been in place, we just continue that same thing because we don't want to disrupt anything. We just want to go through life. Listen, just let me go through it. Let me do what I gotta do, and that's that. We ain't trying to change anything. And this is why a lot of people, when it comes to racism, they just resort to the default programming that they received growing up. This is what
yeah.
my mom tell me. This is what I see all around all the time, and this is what I argue with Chrissy about a lot too. And I tell her all the time, she's my people, she's my girl, but she racist as hell. You understand? And a lot of the things she says, I can see how people can interpret it into what was manifested at the camp towards Ryan is because they plant that somehow people that look this particular way have some kind
Mhm.
of advantage or believe they better than people, and they just represented by this ideology. And
Right.
people go through life believing that that's the truth, and that's why those boys lashed out that way. Like in their mind, that's what it is.
And you know what? Ryan was also with me at the robotics camp, and he said what really like make all his hair stand up the first day the girl came is just her manner. Like he
Mm.
said, he recognized her immediately, and she would do these things. And the one of the days I wasn't there because I had to work.
Hmm.
And he said that one of the other camp counselors called her on her behavior, and she just laughed. And he says that is what
See,
got me all the time. I mean, like I would tell these boys, listen, don't say that to me, and don't do it to me because it's not nice. And then they would laugh, right? And he's like, it was a serious thing. These are serious behaviors that if left unchecked could actually eventually land you in jail or
yes.
some kind of punishment, right? And he says they were not even serious about that. Like he says, I understand that they were hurt and they were like misbehaving, and I was trying to tell them,
Hmm.
don't do these things, don't talk like that, it's not nice, right?
Hmm.
And so this is what I try to explain to these, because we put them in groups. And when I saw the behavior happening, I addressed it at first in a very, very general manner, which
Hmm.
is that we all have the same right to be in this camp as
Hmm.
anybody else. And we can generalize that to say we have the same right to be on this earth as anybody else, right? We have
Hmm.
the right to move through our lives unmolested. We have the right to voice our opinion. So if we're building, this was an interesting camp because to me it just the very fact of collaborating to build something together, same as at Hackett, meant that one, you did have to kind of be in everyone's personal space because you're gathered around a work table, right?
Right.
Two, you have to have the patience to um like if you can see how it's done, and usually the robots are built in pairs because it's two arms, so your partner builds one, you build another one, and these are mirror images. So you have to have the ability to look at a diagram. All these Lego instructions are languageless. They're just pictures and
Hmm.
arrows, right?
Hmm.
And you have to have the ability to say, okay, I'm building this, and if I build the next one, it has to be a mirror image, right, of each other.
Hmm.
Um, and then you have to have the patience to say, oh, I built mine, and even though my partner is slower than me, this camp is about the opportunity to learn. And
Hmm.
experiential learning is much more powerful than me saying, Greg, put this little wheel on that little pole and put the stopper on the end. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? The kind of brain power it needs for them to look at the picture and then translate it into the actual 3D pieces and putting them together, the satisfaction is immense, right?
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
can't take that away from them. So what I told the girls is that, yes, some of you guys are going to be way better at putting it together. And the other partner oftentimes was so much better at programming, like looking at the blocks needed to program the block of the computer. So it's coding, but very simplified, right? So the code would move it forward. You have a block that moves it backwards. You have a block that turns it, and you have to individually put in the variables in this block so that the robot knows how to, let's say, move forward for 5 seconds. Amazing, right? So what the teams had to do was to have patience with each other and make sure that I'm learning at the same time that my partner is also learning. So I made this comment to many teams, and I saw teams that, like, at first, the first day it was rough going because everybody felt this need to, like, just get it done, right? And then by the second day, because we did mindfulness exercises also, and the girls were beginning to realize the gifts and abilities of their teammates, and how the fact that they actually had different abilities than them made them a more powerful team. And so,
no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, because I'm still thinking about this girl, this 10-year-old girl. Did she come back?
She came back. So our camp was from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. She didn't come until Tuesday. And then that was the day I actually had to confiscate something she took, because at the end of the day we were playing. We had a free time where I think it was after lunch. We were waiting for a speaker, and so I let them, kind of have some downtime. She borrowed someone's device and was playing music very loud. So I told her, listen, we're all in an enclosed space, turn it down a little.
See, it's a lot going on with that little girl.
A lot of things.
Just from what you're telling me, I can tell it's some serious issues. And what I would have told, why she laughed? That's an uncomfortable laugh. But she feels as though no one cares about her feelings. And so she's trying that same thing on to other people. She don't care about your feelings, because when she goes, wherever she goes back home, she don't feel, I'm pretty sure nobody checking for her how she feels. And so she is doing the same thing out to other people. She don't care about other people's feelings, because the people who she live with don't care about hers.
Well, I don't know whether that's it, because, like, when the time when her mother dropped her by, her mother looks pretty in touch, and she looks busy, because I think she had these 2 girls and perhaps other children. There is an older sister. There was an older sister.
But what you said right there, Trina, that's the important thing. See, I ain't saying mother is a bad, now mind you, I ain't saying a mother is a bad mother or whatever. Again, not caring could be not getting enough attention. And we know kids can be. We have kids. Like you said, her mother is very busy. And so she may feel as though her mother don't have time for her, because her mother trying to do so much, take care of her, the children, and work and provide and all of that stuff. So she ain't getting the attention. And clearly she seems, from what you tell me, she seems like a person that not wants but needs attention, which is why she continues to disrupt. She needs attention. And because she ain't getting it from mom, she can get attention somewhere. Even if it have to come by way of disrupting other people when they're trying to work, playing loud music, fooling with people, taking their devices. She trying to get attention clearly. So there's an attention deficit there.
Right. She was also, I think, I think she also bullied her older sister, because I know the older sister was watching out for me, in terms of, like, was looking at me when I corrected her a few times. The first few times I was really general about it, and then I took her aside at one point and I said, listen to me. What's happening, right? Like, are you not happy here? And she's looked at me and she says, I'm very happy. And then she turned away.
Want to come back the next day?
No, this was before. So at the end, when it, like, escalated, And then there was another girl helping them because we had to put them in the two new girls in the team together.
Mm-hmm.
And the other girl was very quiet and very introverted.
Mm.
And so a third girl who had been there the first day went to help her. And then I think like about an hour later, she came back to her group, right? And she said to me, she said, I was helping them early because they just started and we already had a whole day. I said, yeah, that was great. And she said, she just told me to just leave them because she doesn't need my help anymore. So I looked at this girl and I said, well, you know that you did a good thing by helping. And maybe what she is saying is that she really doesn't need help. It just came out that way, right? So this was at the beginning of the day when I was willing to, think the best of this child.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, though, I told her, I said, okay, let's get some headphones for you so that you can listen to your music
Mm-hmm.
and not because all of us were in the same room. So we got her headphones. She put it on for a while and then she took it off. And I said, okay, if you don't want to use it, that's fine. Just put it at a low volume. And she did it 3 times. And I said to everyone, I said, if I have to talk to anybody 3 times, I'm taking the device away. I don't care if it's yours, right? So at the third time, I walked over to her and I held out my hand and I said, give it to me. And she gave it to me. And a little while after that is when she said loudly to everyone, she didn't want to come back.
She wanted she need attention.
Yeah, she wanted me to jump in and say, no, please come back, which I didn't.
Yeah.
The next day I wasn't there, and then the last day she didn't come back.
Yeah.
But there was like a lot of issues on the day that I wasn't there also. So I think that yes, it has to be dealt with, but oftentimes this kind of behavior it has to be where it's dealt with along with the parents, because the parent is a huge reason why this kind of behavior goes unchecked. Also, I'm thinking if you go to school every day, how is this not being addressed?
Well, I think in school systems, unfortunately, people, a lot of teachers and people in the positions of leadership are disengaged and feel like, listen, I only here to listen. If y'all don't want to learn or abide, I ain't checking for y'all. Let me put the lesson out and y'all could go home after this. Like they don't really, sad to say, a lot of them don't care. You know what I mean? A lot of them don't care. To be honest with you, I mean, it's sad to say, but I've spoken to teachers before, and this is the sentiment I'm getting. A lot of teachers don't care. Obviously, it's not all. We have some amazing teachers that do care, got very involved, but a lot of them don't care. And so these things can go unchecked in the school system if you don't care. You know what I mean? And
I can understand that too, right? Because like even just us for our 4 days, it was hectic, because we were doing so many things. And but it all on the flip side, it also showed us how just one person could disrupt just with their behavior. I mean, so imagine
one apple spoil the bunch.
Your class had 20 kids in the class and one of them was like that. That'd be enough to disrupt your agenda, your schedule for the day. And then why would you even want to deal anymore with this child?
Yep, and that's why I think it's important that we address this issue, and not just dismiss or discount these people, because they still exist, and you're gonna probably encounter them somewhere in life. If not you, someone close to you, and you don't want it to be a bad encounter. And so that's why I say I understand the expulsion of the students, but there has to be at some point some kind of intervention to have a discussion with these kids, and not just them specifically, but anyone that has these thoughts or grows up in these toxic environments where they're taught this kind of hatred to judge people just upon their appearance or where you feel they from or what school they go to. Just stupid things like this you cast judgment on people for. We have to have some form of intervention and open their minds up to different perspectives, because clearly they're being brainwashed with one angle, and it's detrimental to not only themselves but the people around them. And like you say, they go to camps like this and they cause chaos. They cause, like you say, they cause Ryan to not Ryan, who won before and won again, was didn't want to go back. So imagine if he had allowed them to stop him from going back to the camp. You could miss out on that opportunity. You know, you make a couple dollars, and plus it's a good look for you, that notoriety that you won this competition. He would have missed out all because of
Right.
these people that came in from this toxic environment and brought that with them to the camp.
Right.
And so we
Then
have to address that
also,
issue.
like, what was powerful though is that when he went back, that they had spoken to the rest of the camp about that, and they were so the young people were so happy that Ryan came back. Like,
Awesome.
and the thing is that because what happened is that he was actually they didn't allow him to be with the young man who he won last year with, and then when he came back, that was actually the only group that had space. So Ryan was put in there, and like he told me, he says they welcomed him. They were so happy to have him, and he bonded so much with them over the even next 3 days that like now they're still in contact. You know, they're going to the movies, and they I think they buoyed him up so much, and they said, why didn't you tell us, you know? And Ryan also realized that this is really the only way that bullies can continue to bully, is
If you don't say anything.
continue to don't say anything.
Right.
It all happens in the dark, right?
Yep.
And the one boy that he did tell, which was his partner from last year, the mother, when she heard it, actually called them up that same day that Wayne called them up and reported it and said, my son told me this and I believe him. And it's happening to this boy. So I think in addition to Wayne reporting it, when they got this news from another parent, it gave them more information. And I think that's why too, like us as allies, when we see something happening, we have to stand up.
Yeah.
Like, because sometimes the person that's being bullied just is scared, and
don't know how to react.
You can't make a judgment on why they're scared. And I remember being bullied, and I remember telling it to a teacher once, right? And this teacher said to me, well, why did you let them do it?
What?
And I'm like, I was 8 years old, and I thought to myself, what? I mean, like, if I could help it, I wouldn't let them do it, right? So the reason why I'm telling you this, so I went and told my dad, who was awesome. My dad was like always on my side. He came and he dealt with it. And then he taught me how to deal with it. He's like, okay, you're tiny here. Let me teach you a few things. So next time nobody's going to bully you. Just run, or you incapacitate them and then you run. But this was like physical bullying, right? This thing with Ryan, it didn't get physical. And with the girl at our camp, it was like threatening. It was kind of a threat, but she never did like lay her hands on anyone.
Well, that's good. Well, I mean, like I said, good thing Ryan has a wonderful support system, a wonderful family, because that is a tough thing for someone to go through. I don't recall encountering any racial issues personally, but then again, I don't look like you and Ryan. Most of the people in the country look like me, so I wouldn't experience those things, but I don't deny that those things exist, because you speak to some people and they act as though these things don't exist in the country. I recognize
they
that
deny your experience, right? Like I think a lot of times I think a lot of times that we feel, I mean, so if you said to me that things are really shitty in Malaysia, my thing would be like, yeah, some things are really shitty in Malaysia. And that's the truth, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't make me any less happy that I'm Malaysian, or less proud that I'm Malaysian, because we've come a long way and we are decidedly less shitty than we were before.
And that's progress.
And but the thing is that if I say right now, right, that let's say we talk about this racism thing, and a lot of times the attitude I get is, no, it doesn't happen. And I try to explain to people that when you do that to someone, it's really it's really damaging, right? Because one, I'm discounting your personal experience, which
Exactly.
is not mine. I mean, I wasn't even there when it happened, but
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like you talking like that
Mm-hmm.
or having that experience in some way impinges on my nation, I have to tell you, you didn't have you're talking rot or whatever,
Exactly.
and we can't do that.
But we
I
do it
mean,
all the
I
time. It's
have
that
this
all.
experience in the Bahamas, but I still love the Bahamas. You know what I mean? I'm not going to color everyone by that experience.
Mm-hmm. And it's that old thing
So,
where I could talk with my sister, but you can't talk with my sister. And I
yes,
see it happen
yes,
all the time.
yes,
Bahamians, like, if a foreigner
yes,
criticizes the Bahamas, no
yes.
matter
That
how
movement,
powerful the statement is, they
yes,
listen. How dare you? They see it as an attack, and then they would go and say the very same thing about the country. It's like, what wrong with y'all? Is it true?
correct. Yeah. And then imagine if these same people who would do this, that awful, tell people to carry their things, would come out and protest the government when it's necessary. Imagine the power we would have.
Yeah.
But no,
Nope.
no, we will just go and attack people
Yeah.
for oftentimes talking the truth.
Yep.
I'm kind of tired of that because I'm like, you have to be the only way that we are going to build a stronger, better nation is if we look at our issues and we look them like right in the eye like this and say, okay, so this is what's happening now and it's not good, right? How can we make it so that it doesn't happen? And it's not just for you who's brown or for me who's not brown. It should be for anybody who chooses to live in the Bahamas. We have to make it so that like what we have constitutionally is actually put into action.
Mm-hmm. Well, I couldn't say it any better myself. We could wrap up on that note, Trina. You said it all.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for taking part in this discussion and sharing your experience, because a lot of people don't want to put their business out there and share their family experiences. So we greatly appreciate you for sharing your experience with us, because it's a lesson. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it tells us what's really going on in this country. A lot of people don't know about it, don't believe it, but you telling us what happened shows that these kinds of things happen. You know what I mean? People that look like you, people that look like Tom. I see my girl Michelle Major is watching. People that look like Shelly. I'm sure they face some form of racism from black people in this country, because a lot of them were raised with a certain mentality that
Yes.
y'all think y'all big up. We are beneath y'all, and we have to bring y'all down to our level. This nonsense that was displayed at the camp happens all the time. And so we need to bring light to these issues. We need to discuss these issues and provide different perspectives to these people, because it's not the case. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that's why Ryan was confused, because he probably never experienced that level of bullying and racism.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, and I think that's part of what we need to, because someone told me, he says, it's also because he's sheltered and he's never been around anybody but people who loved him. I thought about it and I thought, but that is the goal we should aim for all our children.
Exactly.
Don't you think? This is not being sheltered. This is actually being loved. And we should aim for that so that all our children in our country know that no matter where they go, they will at least be safe.
Yes. Thank you so much, Trina.
It shouldn't be like it shouldn't be a bad thing that my child is coming from a place where he's just been loved or liked or
And that's
treated
looked down
nicely.
upon. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, that's looked down upon. Speaking properly. Yeah. They criticize him for his stupid things. You know what I mean? We have to get beyond that. And it's only going to happen, like I say, with some form of intervention. How that looks, who's going to do it? I mean, I guess it takes each of us to do our part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Any opportunity I get to help and try and intervene with somebody from that background and have a conversation with them, I'm more than willing to do it. You know what I mean? And we just have to do those things. Once again, thank you so much, Trina. We done run past our time. Thank you for appearing and giving up your time. You're a busy
No
woman.
problem. Thank you.
Tell Ryan we here for him. You know what I mean. If you want
I
to
will.
discuss at any time, we can also have a discussion. If you want to talk about it, the platform is
Okay.
open for him to talk about it himself also.
Excellent.
So thank you so much once again, and thank you people for watching. Like I said, please
Take
go ahead and
care.
share the video. Continue to support. Check out the website. Go under therug.com. We have the episodes up there, and you can also donate and contribute if you need to. Please go ahead and go to the donate section. You can give monetarily. If you don't have the money, like I said, a share is just as good because it shares the video, it gets us the views, and then once we get enough views, the advertisers are gonna see and they're gonna pay attention and they're gonna provide their money. So appreciate you guys once again. Thank you so much. Thank you for all of your comments, all of you that are tuned in. We appreciate you. And until next week, peace out.